Welcome to the TAC Index AI podcast, August 5, 2026, where we blend TAC IP data, reports, and charts with the latest news in all things logistics with a focus on air cargo. If you're managing global supply chains right now, you might be wondering, well, how does a mere rumor about a political treaty in the Persian Gulf just instantly crash the cost of flying cargo out of London?
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Right. So today our mission for this deep dive is to really unpack how these geopolitical choke points and jet fuel prices are sending shockwaves through global air cargo rates and the macro economy.
The system is just under incredible stress right now. I mean, look at the latest TAC index data. The global Baltic air freight index just rose 1.3% this week.
Which, that breaks a 5-week slide.
Exactly, yeah. It breaks the slide, and it puts rates nearly 20% higher than this time last year. But, that global average really hides the actual chaos we're seeing at the hub level.
Oh, completely. Like, Frankfurt outbound rates surged a massive 19.8%, while London Heathrow just plummeted nearly 25%.
Right, and that's because of the restored capacity to the Middle East out of London. Suddenly, there's all this cargo space, so the rates just collapse.
Meanwhile, over in China, the situation is totally different. Rates from China to Europe are dropping fast because, well, the EU ended its de minimis customs regime back in July.
Yeah, which fundamentally breaks the business model for fast fashion e-commerce. For years, those companies relied on the de minimis rule to fly cheap goods into Europe completely tax-free.
Right, and now that exemption is gone.
Exactly, the margins are just wiped out. So the demand to fly those massive e-commerce volumes simply vanished overnight.
So it's kind of like the global cargo network is operating like a giant waterbed. Like if you push down capacity or demand in one hub, say London, do rates just immediately balloon in another like Frankfurt?
That's exactly how it works. Those planes from the China to Europe routes are suddenly looking for profitable cargo elsewhere, so localized shifts force the pressure into other hubs. But you have to remember, this whole waterbed is sitting on top of a massive fire.
You mean the skyrocketing cost of jet fuel?
Yes. The erratic hub rates are directly tied to renewed spikes in jet fuel prices, driven by the Persian Gulf hostilities.
Right, because we have that staggering Reuters data from Saudi Aramco. The global market has lost like 2.6 billion barrels of oil since February due to the U.S.-Iran war and the closure of the Strait of Hormuz.
It's a massive loss, and it chokes off the crude supply that refineries desperately need to produce jet fuel. Plus, at the same time, you have Houthi blockades in the Red Sea.
Which is completely disrupting the alternative sea container routes.
Exactly. So standard sea routes are paralyzed. Shippers can't get goods on boats, so they panic and force more goods into the air. But airlines don't have enough affordable jet fuel to run extra flights.
So it's just this intense, compounding logistics squeeze. Even as Aramco is relying heavily on the east-west pipeline to maintain oil flow, the buffers are basically gone.
They really are. And despite these severe supply chain and fuel disruptions, it's wild because the broader macro market is surprisingly rallying right now.
Yeah, with AI-linked companies driving the S&P and Dow to record highs.
Right, so capital is flowing effortlessly into tech. But for the logistics sector, relief is basically hanging on geopolitical rumors. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent just hinted at an imminent deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
And that immediately sent crude prices down 4%, right? Just on the rumor.
Just the whisper of a deal, yeah.
Right.
Crude tumbled 4%.
Okay, but I have to push back on that a bit. If oil drops 4% just on the rumor of a deal, how quickly could air freight rates actually normalize? I mean, is the logistics industry just too capacity constrained right now to bounce back quickly?
That's the million-dollar question. The physical backlog is immense. Even if fuel gets cheaper tomorrow morning, it takes months to unwind this level of congestion.
Because the physical planes and ships are entirely out of position globally.
Exactly. Routing a cargo plane back into its optimal profitable schedule means clearing out warehouses of stranded freight first. A rumor about oil is not an instant reset button for freight rates.
Wow, yeah. So that leaves you with a really provocative thought to mull over. Even if the Strait of Hormuz reopens and jet fuel prices stabilize, will the end of the de minimis customs rule permanently cripple the once booming e-commerce air freight lanes from China to Europe?
It's entirely possible. Regulatory shifts like that tend to rewrite the map for good.
Until next time.